Hey, welcome back to another lesson. I'm Gabe the Animator. Let's get right into this. I'm going to start to rotate this guy now. So let's take a look at the whole thing here. Okay, there's our rig. And here is the rotation. Now, how do we go about rotating the rig into those views? I'm just noticing right now that I've got these auto patches here that are not part of my full rig. So you can see the full rig here. Everything is neatly tucked into these folders. But we have certain things that are not inside the rig. And that's because if we click on them and go over here and go and find it, you can see that the auto patch is not being used here. There's nothing going in here. So whenever we're not using those, we can cut them out. But we might use it when we start to rotate the rig. We might have to fix the rig. So I'm just going to leave them there for now. But if you have a rig and you're done rigging and you've got these auto patches that are just sort of hanging out there, you can just select them and just cut them. When I press cut, so Control X, they just disappear from the timeline there. Okay, so you can clean up your timeline like that. Another thing that we're going to need is more exposure. So when I do this, you'll notice that I lose the exposure, and that's because if I hit 9 and I open up my folders here, you can see where the drawings end, right? So that is your exposure. So you can see I have exposure here, but as soon as it goes past that, everything kind of disappears. So an easy way to fix that is to go to the end of the timeline here and hit F5. And now you can see the hand is there, right? But I want to do this for all of the elements at the same time. So I'm just going to hit 0 on my keyboard. It's going to close all of it's going to close the timeline here. I can go to the end and hit F5, and it will give exposure to everything at the same time. But it's not giving any exposure to my model sheet because the model sheet is locked. So I'm going to unlock it here. And I'm going to go on my model sheet here and hit F5. And now I've got the exposure running all the way to the end of my file here. Now there's two things that you should know. You have a red marker here. This is the end scene marker. But you also have a little black one here, and that is your stop button. So if I hit play here, it's going to play that all the way here. Now obviously we're doing rigging, and this is not really pertinent, I guess, to that, but it's just a little side note here. And you can go to any frame and hit stop, and that little marker, that little black marker, will go there. You can also drag it if you like, or you can set the number of the frame where you want it to stop, and it's the same thing for the start. So if I hit start here, I'm going to have my start and my stop in this area. So if I hit play, it's just going to play that area. Okay. So I will have my start and my stop at the beginning of the scene. I have all of my frames here. Now the first thing I'm going to do is, you know what, I'm missing his shadow, I believe. So let's just add his shadow. And the shadow goes all the way here at the end. So Control R for a new drawing layer. I'm going to type in shadow. I'm going to add and close. Here is the shadow. I'm going to press Control P, add a peg there. Peg has the same name as the drawing node. I'm going to zoom out and plug in my shadow into this composite here. And it's going to be at the very far right. Now there's nothing drawn yet. I'm just plugging it in first. I find it's easier to, get your drawing node and your peg before you draw anything. It's just easier to do that. And the shadow will go into the walk peg here. Now if you're just joining me in this video and it's your first time seeing my videos, you want to go back to Pro Tips When Drawing a Rig Part 1 and go through that if you're serious about learning how to rig professionally, because you can rig anything in any way that you like, but if you're working for an animation studio, there are certain things that you need to learn before getting into that. It's just better to go through these steps, to make sure that you understand all the little ins and outs about rigging. So here I'm going to click on my shadow. I'm going to grab just an ellipse here and have kind of like a disc where the character is standing on. Okay. And what's nice about the shadow is sometimes when your character is walking or jumping on a background, sometimes it's hard to tell where the floor is. So the shadow, this is what the shadow does. Well, first of all, it acts as a shadow, but second of all, it acts as a, what did I do here? Okay. It acts as to know where the floor is. So the shadow can be just black. Okay. Let's actually make a shadow node here, or shadow color pot. Some people will use the same color as the lines, but then if you decide to change the color of the lines, it's going to change the color of the shadow. So that's why it's important to have, the right color pot. So if you want to know if you've got the right color, let's say you have multiple blacks. Let's say I come here and I grab my eyedropper tool. I can click on the color and it will take me to the color that's being used. So now I'm on the shadow here, which is good. Okay, and the shadow will not have any exposure. Whenever you draw something for whatever reason, it just gives you one frame of exposure. So as soon as I hit play here, the shadow disappears. So again, I'm just going to go to the end here, hit F5. Now, some of you, depending on if you're working on a Mac or not, those function buttons at the top of your keyboard might not work. And that is a source of frustration for my students and some people using Macs. Or even if you're using a laptop, like a Windows laptop, those function keys might not be registering the F5 function. So if that's the case for you, you can set it. So you're going to go to Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts, and you're going to type in here, what's it called? Exposure. And there's add key exposure, but we're just going, so here I just typed in expo, but I can go, you can use this arrow here and it will take me to whatever has the word expo in it. So decrease exposure, export animated gift, increase exposure, add remove, clear exposure, and here it's called extend exposure. You can see that the default shortcut is F5. But if your keyboard is not cooperating, you can go ahead and click this button here. You can hit clear and then hit F5 again on your keyboard. Sorry, F5. And then it will ask you, do you want to duplicate or replace it? And you just say replace. And you can do that for any shortcut that is not cooperating. Okay. And if it still does not cooperate, you can just put it on whichever other key that you like on your keyboard. Now mine's already set up, so I'm just going to cancel here. And if yours, if you want to set yours to another key, you just set it. Make sure you don't close it. Make sure you come over here and hit OK. Okay. So my exposure is good. This is a new drawing and a new peg, so you can see that the rotation point is in the middle of the screen there, so I don't want that. So I'm going to set the rotation point right over here. That should be good. And now the shadow can grow or shrink, or I can change the perspective here. And I can also hit R for reset. It will bring it back here. Okay, we're ready to start the turnaround. So here I'm going to hit F6. That's my front view. I'm actually going to skip the 3/4 view here. And okay, let's go maybe like, let's say over here. Put a stop there. Let's put a keyframe here, and let's put a keyframe for the model sheet here, and we'll put a keyframe here. And now I'm going to hit Shift, and I'm going to move this all the way to the side view here. And what we want to do is we want to keep the Flash kind of like if he's standing on a skewer, or if there's a skewer going through his body. We want that like so. Now I'm skipping that 3/4 view, and you'll see why. I'm going all the way to the side view here, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to have this model sheet on top of my rig here, so I can actually, I'm going to move this in all frames mode. So I'm going to remove the animate button. I'm going to click that. I'm going to go to my top view here. I'm going to click on the maintain size button, and I'm going to bring this model sheet over top of my character here. Okay. But now I can't see my model sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a transparency node here. I'm going to hold Alt and just slide that in here. You can't see anything when your model sheet is selected, so you have to click away. And now you can see I can see through my model sheet here. Now you can crank up the transparency by clicking on this little yellow square and then cranking up the numbers here. Let's go to 80, and that's pretty good. So I'm going to close that, and I don't want to move this around, right? So I'm going to lock it, and now I'm going to make sure in my timeline I'm over here. And I actually would just like to see the Flash, so I'm just going to go to Flash here. Okay. And now I'm going to start animating the turnaround. So I want to make sure my animate button is turned on. I'm going to be using this transform tool, and I'm going to start with just his arm here. So I'm going to go to my tool properties and just turn this button on here, peg selection mode. So the peg selection mode, what that does is, if you notice, I clicked on his hand here, but the bounding box is blue. That's because I'm on the drawing node. And what I want to do is I want to go on the peg here. When I select the peg, it's yellow. That means I'm moving the peg and not the drawing node. I know it seems a little strange, but that's how that works. So in order to click something and go directly to the peg, you want to have this button turned on here, the peg selection mode. So I'm going to turn that on. It's always off by default whenever you turn on Harmony. So now I'm going to click on his hand. You can see the bounding box is yellow, which means I'm on the peg. And I'm going to parent up. So I'm going to hit B, like Bob. And I'm going to parent up all the way up. And now you can see I have his entire arm here. If I parent up again, it grabs both arms. So I don't want that. I just want the one arm. And now what I want to do is I want to bring that arm over here. Because now I want to sort of like look at the model sheet. Now the model sheet's a little hard to see, so I might bring this down a little bit, maybe in a 70. And it is like I'm not gonna lie, it is hard to see what's going on here. So what we can do to make things a little bit easier is go into our rig here, select the torso, and press D for disable. That's going to turn everything off. And I'm also going to turn off this leg. I'm going to hit D for disable and D for disable. So now I get to see just the model sheet here. I'm going to select that arm, and I'm going to move the arm over here. And it's always the bigger peg first, and then we can parent down and try to match the arm that's on the model sheet here. Let's not forget the details here. We have this funky shine there on his arm, so I'm going to put that there. And another thing we can do is turn on the deformers and sort of match that model sheet. So whenever we're using this view, it will really look like what the model sheet is looking like. And we've got those muscle groups that are set in different sections so we can move the muscles around. Now obviously this doesn't look good. You know, maybe we want the shoulder to come to the front. But this, yeah, you're going to notice that whenever you are moving things around, you might change your mind about how they look, the shape of them, or what's on top and what's on the bottom. Now if I bring that shoulder forward, the shoulder looks right, but I don't have that shine anymore, so I don't want to do that. Perhaps I can push the bicep backwards. So you hold Alt and press up on your arrow key, and now you can move things forward and backward. So forward is back and down is forward this way. Okay, so just holding Alt and using the arrow keys up and down here to do that. So now this arm looks good. I really don't want that line there. But that's, there are ways of hiding the line in different views, but I don't want to open that can of worms just yet, okay? Right now, I just want to, I'm actually going to keep that, because if I do this, now when the arm turns, here I'm just hitting Control K, or I'm using this button here, which is set motion keyframe. You can see the shortcut is Control K here. So now I have this animated arm that goes all the way to the side view here. But you can see that by moving things the wrong way, it's doing this, right? So I'm just going to click that, hit R for reset, and I'm going to actually keep that, even though the model sheet has that facing there. I'm going to keep it like that. There is a way to have it. Okay. Let's solve that issue. Let's say that you want to be completely accurate, okay? That lightning bolt has to go the other way. But if I twist it this way, it will twist, it will animate that way, which won't make any sense. So what we can do is I can hit that, hold shift, press B a bunch of times, and then hit my black arrow. I'm also going to turn on this light bulb and turn this on here, the current drawing on top. So now what's happened is I'm in the drawing of this bolt, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, Control C, Control V. I'm going to flip that right here, and I'm going to hold shift and use the arrow key to the right, and I'm going to match that this way. So let's see if I can make this work. It probably won't work, but we don't see this because there's a cutter there. But if I grab that and just move it to the side here, now we can have this version . So now you can see, that there's a problem there when we hit that. But this is accurate here. There are different things that we can do. But to be honest with you, I think this is like, we're kind of like nitpicking, and I think that this should stay the way it is. So I'm actually going to delete that. Come back here. I'm going to hit R for reset. Oh, what happened here? Oh yeah, I moved it. Hold on. I'm going to undo everything. Or I could have this, let's say we do move that over here. See the angle? You know, I could rotate this. So now when he's being animated, it looks like that. So it looks like it's rotating around his arm there. So there are a lot of different ways that we can play with those things, but I'm actually going to undo all that. And I'm going to keep my original idea. My original idea of just keeping it that way and not really moving it. I could actually just like move it a little bit this way, just so that it looks like his forearm is rotating there. I think I'm going to do that. And he does have an elbow here in the model sheet, and here he doesn't have an elbow. So there are different things that I could grab to like get those things to connect here. So now there's that. Yeah, I do this a lot where I'm working on something but it's not on the right frame. Whenever you do that, you can just hold that frame and just drag it and drop it. So now that arm is rotating this way. Right? And we would need to draw a new hand. So I'm going to click on that hand. I'm going to hold Shift B, and you can see that now it's blue, right? Because when you press B, you go up, and when you hold Shift B and press B a bunch of times, it parents down until this box becomes blue, which means that you are now on the drawing node. I'm going to hit this black arrow, and I'm going to duplicate this hand. The reason why I'm going to duplicate this hand, you want this drawing substitution here. If you don't have it, you can just click this little plus sign, go to drawing substitution. Yeah, right here, drawing substitutions. So I've got this hand. I'm going to duplicate that hand. I'm going to grab my black arrow, and I'm going to move all of those drawings on all of those layers, because we've got different drawings in different layers here. So I want to move all those layers at the same time. So I'm going to hit that. I've got my eyeball turned on here. Box select this hand, just move it over here. And the reason I keep it there is because I can color pick from it. Okay, and I want to draw this side fist here. So I'm going to grab my color picker, click on that line here, and now I'm going to try to draw this hand. It's a little hard to see because the resolution is not the best. But you want those lines to overlap, okay? It's really important. Yeah, I'm going to do this again because I had this button turned on here. This is auto flatten, which means that all the lines have are glued to each other now. I don't want that. So I'm going to turn this off here, auto flatten, and I'm going to try this again here. So you want those nice crisp lines. You want to make sure that this is not down here, okay? Because then you're going to get a lot of little vertices here. It's going to make the file a lot heavier, and your drawing lines are going to be ugly. So we're going to crank that center line smoothing up here, and here we go. We want all of those lines to intersect. So I'm just going to draw actually the outside of this fist here. Okay, like that. Then I'm going to grab, I also want to have this circle here that is going to fit right there. Okay. Then you grab your cutter tool here under the black arrow, and you start deleting lines here. Any line that you don't want, you just click and hit delete on your keyboard. And I really like doing that because it's like almost therapeutic. here. And what's great about this is you can always move those lines around if you find that you didn't do a good job there on that first pass. Okay. And you can also use thick and thin lines. And I like to use the pencil editor for that. So you click on your line, and then you can hold shift and just squeeze this way. So now you can see those the lines are kind of tapering here. Hold shift, taper. So wherever you want those lines to taper, you can do that. You can also add vertices. So you hold control and you click. So you can have thicker parts. Right? You can if you want to get rid of those, you can also click on them and hit delete on your keyboard. Whoops. Yeah, hit delete. So you can add them. You can add as many as you want in order to mess with that line there. So I'm going to add one in the middle here and just taper that and taper that. Okay, and then grab my cutter tool here, cut those lines. Now I know what you're thinking. Those fingers look very stiff. We can grab the white arrow here, hold shift, and just pull on that a little bit. So it's going to make this like nice and clean. Whatever vertex you don't want, you can box select it here and just hit delete on your keyboard. I'm not sure I want that line. And I don't like this bump here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to box select that and hit delete. Now I didn't want this to happen. The line completely disappeared on me. So the way we can fix that is we can box select this whole thing with the white arrow, and we are going to join pencil lines here. So now that we've done that, when I delete this vertex, it will only delete the vertex and not the line. There you go. Although if I delete that, then I get this kind of like bump. I don't know. You can also hold down Alt. Whoops. You can also hold down Alt if you want to mess with the line here. So now I got a nice line that flows into that. I'm wondering if I should delete that and make this a little bit, no. Maybe delete this one. Maybe I can make this a little softer so it looks more natural. Okay. Now there's my hand. The hand looks really long, but I guess that's the style, and we kind of need that to go there. So in any event, now what I want to do is I want to make sure the line art is in the line art here. So I'm going to turn this off, and you can see that I accidentally drew this into the color art layer. So I'm going to turn this off. This is applying it to all the layers. I don't want that now. I just want to concentrate. I want to cut this from the color art and then paste it in the line art. Okay. Actually, you know what? I want to paste it in the overlayer. Okay. And now I'm going to color pick from here. And I'm going to paint it. And I'm going to take the paint, cut it out, and put the paint into the color art layer. Just paste it. So now I've got my color art, my line art. If I click the eye here, I've got everything. I don't need any of this anymore. So I can delete that. And I can take a look at what it will look like this. And you can see that, I don't want to see that line there. So I'm going to go back in, and I'm actually going to cut this part out with my cutter tool here. About like that. I'm going to cut that out, paste that into the line art. So now that line doesn't show up anymore, and whenever I move it, the line is there, but it won't show up here. So it looks flawless. Okay. So now that arm rotates to the side view here. I'm actually going to make sure that the model sheet is also tweening there. Okay. Lock that again. Okay, so we've got that. And we're going to do the same thing for the rest. So this arm now, we have a problem here. If I bring that arm here, it doesn't really look like it's rotating, right? And we don't know what that arm is supposed to look like. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to match this arm to that arm. Okay, so I'm going to bring this arm over here. And I'm going to rotate that maybe this way. And this is the tricep. The tricep is going to go here. And the bicep is going to go here. And the shoulder, I'm going to match the other shoulder. So it's going to change as and I'm going to push this back here. I'm going to try to match that a little bit better here. I'm going to give him, I'm going to change that curve this way. By the way, to turn on the deformers, there is no button for that. You have to set your button to turn your deformers on. So you're going to go to Edit Keyboard Shortcuts. You're going to type in Show Current Deformers. That's what it's called. And you can see that the default shortcut, there is none. Now I put mine on F3, so I think that's a good one. You can just click here and hit F3 on your keyboard. And when I say F3, I'm talking about the function keys. I'm not talking about the key number, the key letter F and then the number 3, right? I'm talking about the function keys at the top of your keyboard. Hit that, hit OK. And I think you might have to reboot Harmony for it to work, but once you do, you can click whatever piece and hit F3 and the deformers will show up. So, and this hand, I'm not gonna do any redraws for that hand for now. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it that way here. And now you can see both arms are kind of rotating there. And I'm gonna take this arm, and I'm actually gonna push it back. I'm gonna hold Alt and press up. So now it's behind the other arm. So now we've got the rotation of both arms here. And I'm going to see if I can move that over like that. So it's kind of rotating this way. Now that arm looks a little silly over here, but we're going to fix that later. Okay. So biggest chunk first. And then smaller pegs, and then the deformers last here. And I'm also going to keep that shine going this way. Cool, so that's done. Now we can jump to his head here. So I'm going to parent up and grab his entire face, just the face. And I'm going to bring that... I think I'll grab his entire head first and just match the top here. So he's going to come down a little bit. I'm going to grab his face, move his face over. Like that. You can see I'm sort of matching his nose there. Okay. This I'm going to squeeze this way. Now you can see his face is kind of turning here. I'm going to grab this ear, push this back, parent up, and push the ear all the way here. So now you can see his face is kind of rotating this way. We've got that. I'm going to grab this ear, hold Alt, press down. It's going to come up. I'm going to match that. Maybe make it a little bit bigger because it's closer to us. I'm going to parent. I need to grab those two pieces, so hit that, hit Shift, click this as well, hit Alt, hit down. Now that's coming to the top here, and now I can fix that, turn on the deformers, and looks like it's rotating around. Mouth is coming here. So this is a problem now, right? We need to hide that somehow. I'm noticing that I don't have any deformers for his jaw. Okay, so I'm going to get in there. I'm going to go and find that jaw. I'm going to go back to the front view here, and I'm going to hit F4 because that's my envelope creator. If you don't have an envelope creator because you didn't set it to your shortcuts, you can go to animation and envelope creator here. You can see I set it to F4. How many points do I want? I want like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 points. And that's actually not bad. We can go in and make sure that that's a little tighter here. That's going to be the corner of his eye here. Okay. We're going to need that. Okay, there's his jaw. Now this is new here, okay? This is a new deformer. So if we go and find it in the timeline, you'll notice that the jaw is here. If I open it, you can see my offset and my curves from my deformer, and there's no information there. So it's really important to close that. Hit F6. So now there are keyframes all over, right? And we also want keyframes here. So you can either, select all that and hit F6, or you can close it and hit F6. Either way, it's really important to have all of those keys there, and we're going to tween that. Okay. Now, of course, nothing is happening yet, but now we can shape. Can shape that jaw, and we're going to tween that as well. Okay, so now we've got that. Same for his skull here. We want to put some deformers around his skull, so I'm going to go back to the first frame. How many points do I want? Maybe 4 or 3. 3 might be good. Okay, let's go with 4. That's good. And we can also, move them so that they are a little bit more even. this way. And if we want to see just the skull, we can hit Control Y, put a display here, go to display 4, and now we can see what we're doing. Okay. It's important to be as accurate as possible, because if you're not, it can be a source of frustration later on. To remove the display, you can just cut it out, Control X. Okay. So this is the skull here. I'm going to hit F6 and F6 here, and you know we need a tween here as well, right? So it's really important. A lot of people get confused when they need to add or remove pieces, and then the tween sort of disappears on them, or there's no keyframes, so it gets a little weird. Let's untween, Control L, and retween, Control K. So now it's tweening everything here. And what happened to... Okay, there we go. So now I can make his skull, because your skull is a little bit longer, right, in the side view. Right? So it kind of changes like that. Okay, we've got the nose there. And that's probably going to go somewhere here. And here we can change that. Let's open his mouth from the very beginning here. So if I'm parenting down here, you can see I can now choose this, and now his mouth is open. So it's actually better to, when you're doing the rotation, it's actually better to rig with the mouth open. So here, what I want to do with this is get a cutter, and I'm going to be using this as the cutter. So when it leaves this area, we won't see this part anymore. So let's go and find that. This will be the last thing that I do in this video for now, because I don't want this video. The video is already long enough as it is. So I want this, and I want a cutter for that. So grab a cutter, just slide that in there using Alt, and I want to find his jaw, and grab and I actually just want to use the color art of the jaw here. Okay, this is the jaw, this is the color art. I'm going to grab a wire from there. I'm going to zoom out. I'm still holding that wire, and I want to know where that mask is. Oh, it's right here. I'm going to plug that in there and maybe switch the mask around. That's not what I want, so I'm going to switch those wires around. Nope. So I need this, and I need that, and then I need this. There we go. So now this mask sort of disappears when it reaches that part. It still doesn't look quite right, but we can always squeeze that mask so that, so that like this goes like that, right? But we're not going to do that just yet. What we need to do is we need to concentrate on this side view. Side view is working. You can reset those for now. Hit R for reset here. Or we can reset that there. And you can also rotate these if you want, but no, that breaks. We'll leave it like that. So we've got that. Same thing with this eye. We want this eye to sort of disappear this way. So we're going to use the same idea. We can use a cutter here so that when that eye goes in this direction, it gets cut out. This nose also needs to change or is it this? It needs to come out here. Okay, so here we actually need this part here. And it's normal for the paint to do that. Sometimes it's really hard on Harmony. So, but if you render it, it looks fine, right? So when you're going to be making a movie, it will look okay. So this is not bad. It's not bad, right? Here is what the 3/4 view might look like. And the 3/4 view might look like this a little bit here. So I like to go directly to the side view here. And we're going to add some keyframes there so that we can get that. Actually, I can just do this here. That's going to be the side view here, and you can tell we're not too far off here, right? We can, but we're going to do that once we're completely done the side view. So here, let's work on his mouth. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to get a cutter from here, so that it cuts the mouth, so that we don't see this stick out. Or we could do a side mouth here. So we can duplicate this. And now we're going to create a side view of the mouth, which means that we can erase part of it, right? So we can go like that. Okay. And we don't want to see we want to be able to see through. We're not supposed to be seeing the inside of his cheek here. So what we can do is we can go inside and cut that out and paste it in the underlayer instead. And we're going to tell Harmony, use this as a cutter to cut through his face, so we just see through it. Okay, so let's go and find that. Here are the lips. Here, so there's no underlayer, so we're going to go grab an underlayer, connect that to the lips here, and we're going to tell Harmony, use this as a cutter. So I want to find my a cutter, plug that in there, and then we got to use this to cut through the entire head here. So we'll put another composite, and we'll see if we can cut through it. We'll switch those. There, so now it looks like this. You can see we're cutting through it. But we have another problem. We can't see his teeth. So we're going to tell Harmony to skip that. Let's go find his teeth here. So his teeth and tongue. This is the interior of the mouth. I think we can just grab this. And we want to put that over here behind the cutter. Teeth are not showing up. Which means, okay, let's undo that. Okay, so now the teeth are working here. I think I might just grab another wire, come here, and plug it behind my cutter here. Let's see if that works. And it's working. Here are his teeth. So they are showing up both in the front view, in the 3/4 view, and in the side view they show up. I have this little black line there that I don't want, which means that I can probably grab that and bring it out a little bit more. This needs some work. Definitely not perfect. I think there's a better way to do it, and you can see that it's cutting through my line art as well. So I still have to fiddle around with it to make it look just right, and I still gotta cut this eye. Another thing that we could do essentially is hide this behind the rig for the side view, right? So it needs to be there for the 3/4 view, but when we get to the side view we can hide it behind the rig here, so it would look like that. So you can see we're getting there slowly but surely. It's a lot of work, but it's completely doable. And you know, if you do the work, you'll have an amazing rig that you can pose in any perspective, or you know, pose. And yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed my video. If you stayed this long, please leave a like and comment. Let me know if this helped you or not. And if you have any other questions I can answer, I'll do my best. And we'll see you in the next video.